Good afternoon, all you distinguished dignitaries. Can you hear me? Huh? Well, this is probably not on this.
No, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Hear you, Don.
Good afternoon to all the distinguished dignitaries present.
Good afternoon.
Was that Clint? Is that Clint I'm speaking to?
No, that would be Mark you're speaking to.
Oh, Mark. Well, I did find it dignitary.
Oh, thank you for the compliment, though, Don.
Yes, Clint also. Uh, after the meeting, Clint, could you give me a call?
Sure.
Very kind of you. I'm going to go back on mute.
Can you hear me, Clint? Can you hear me?
I can hear you,
Okay.
Linda.
I'll unmute. O'clock, are we gonna start?
Yeah, just reached out to Sean on text here, and I may reach out to Marty as well. I believe Melissa and David perhaps weren't able to. At the same time, I did receive a message from MIS a while back, a few minutes ago, that we're experiencing trouble with our with long distance calls right now. So I don't know if they're having impacts from that on also on their internet. I don't know. Let me see if I can figure out. We need at least one more for a quorum.
The problem shouldn't be affecting their internet, but CenturyLink is aware of the problem now.
Thank you. I shouldn't be drinking, but.
folks. I'm
Mr. Chair, right now you have
you guys
yourself.
hear me okay?
I can hear you, Sean. Can you hear me? This is Clint.
Yes. Yep, I can.
Mr. Chair, right now I'm tracking yourself, Mr. Cooey, Ms. Gentis, and Mr. Seep in attendance.
Okay. I intend for setting this up, so I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Let's see, Clerk Vlasic, was there proper proof of notification? And do you mind just listing out what the yourself?
Okay,
There we go.
it's on the courthouse bulletin board, emailed to the Observer, WRCO, and then all the committee members. And
And it's also on the website as well, I noticed.
yes,
Okay. Thank you for that. We have an 11-point agenda, so I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Mark,
Linda,
I'll make a
I'll move
motion.
to approve the agenda.
Okay, so we'll have a motion by Supervisor Cooey and a second by Supervisor Gentis. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. And Clerk Vlasic, would you mind please taking the roll? Let's just get down who all's here, please.
Brewer, Marty Brewer, Mark Cool,
Here.
Linda Gentis, Melissa Luck, Sean Murphy Lopez,
Here.
Don Seep,
Happy to be hearing your voice, and I'm here.
Dave Turk. I think we have 4.
Okay, so we do have a quorum, so we can. For previous minutes, we had some minutes that were prepared by Administrator Wack. I believe this was for the first Finance and Personnel Committee meeting in November. If I remember that correctly, or maybe it was the second. It's November 10th. So I'd entertain a motion to approve the November 10th meeting minutes.
It's Mark. I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Cooey.
And Gentis, I'll second it.
Okay, second by Supervisor Gentis. All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. Agenda item number 5, ordinance pertaining to fair and open housing. Administrator Langreck.
Mr. Chair, looking today for a motion to recommend action by the county board to affirm existing fair house ordinance 200520 and 82, ordinance 82. This action pertains to community development block grant, CDBG. This isn't part of the closed process. The county is moving through to retain the $1.2 million in grant funds. In order for Richland County to participate in the CDBG program, it's required to adopt the following ordinance type language pertaining to fair and open housing. So we have these on record. We're looking to, again, affirm by ordinance. Ordinance has been drafted in preparation for tonight. And this, again, is part of compliance with the CDBG close to get the grant money to handle the 2 projects that are currently being pursued. Mr. Chair.
Okay, and is there an attachment for this one? And can you just that attachment up?
On your screen right now is the proposed resolution language.
Mr. Chair,
Just a second. Let's get that ordinance up first here. I'm not seeing that quite yet. There we go. Can you just run through these ordinances, and then we'll go to Supervisor C.
See it, where is it?
So right now, we're looking at Mr. Langrecht's screen, and he's got ordinance number 2005-20. That's what you should be seeing right now, Supervisor Gentis. Can you see that?
Dude, shared screen or something?
Yeah, so you should be able to see his screen, but if not, you can go to your iPad and look in the folder, and the ordinance is there. And you can also go to the Finance Committee website
Already
and the
in the
ordinances.
iPad. I already read it, my iPad.
Okay. Go, Administrator Langrecht, can you take us through these, and we'll go to Mr. C.
The attachment on 05A, the ordinance, is what would be proposed to take to county board this evening. It is a 5-point ordinance. Again, we're looking to hereby reaffirms the non-discriminatory policies set forth in the previous ordinance and amendment to that ordinance, the original being in 1980, the amendment being in 2005. We're also then looking again to make sure it's on file to send it off to CDBG in discussion with Corporation Counsel. And from our previous meeting, we went back in time and found that the existing ordinance, which in Attorney Southwick's opinion met all the different criteria that we're looking for in accomplishing to meet the CDBG requirements for the closed program. And these are the two original ones on file here.
Okay, and so then the motion that we are considering here is is the language to reaffirm these existing ordinances, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to go to Supervisor C. But Ms. Scott, I'm wondering if you can mute everybody first, since we're getting quite a bit of feedback, and then Supervisor C, you'll just have to unmute yourself once she gets everyone muted.
I think it must be your thing, because none of the rest of us are getting feedback.
Is no one else getting feedback? Is that correct?
I'm not getting any feedback.
I don't hear any.
I don't have any either.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Go ahead, Supervisor C.
Thank you very kindly. I offer a motion to approve the ordinance as read and the amended ordinance as read, and forwarding it to the county board for approval with a recommendation for approval.
Okay, a motion by Supervisor C. Does anyone else want to second it?
I'll second it, Mark.
Okay, second by Supervisor Cooey. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. And I just want to check in. It sounds like we've got Supervisor Brewer has joined us. Is that correct?
Yes, I've been here the whole time, but the mute and unmute doesn't work, but Barb's got it fixed now.
Oh, great. Okay, so we've got Supervisor Brewer with us as well. Agenda item number 6, replacing 3 cardiac monitors. Mr. Langrecht. You need to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Looking today, this is a return from last week on Tuesday, we addressed this, coming back to you with a little bit further, more research and refinement. Looking today for a motion to approve a resolution for the county board allowing ambulance services to enter into a finance agreement with Stryker Medical Corporation. Our updated background on this is the ambulance committee approved a motion for the service director to present a financing option to the Finance and Personnel Committee for their consideration for the replacement of 3 cardiac monitors. The total of this replacement is $101,000. With the additional expenses listed in here, Richland County Association has $2,604.31 to put towards the down payment. The ambulance could pay $2,395.69 to make a $5,000 down payment. This would be a 3-year 0 interest option, and the total estimates then for the project is $101,000 minus the $2,604.31 for a total of $98,917.31. The funding for this would come from funds number 51 and 47. We've had continuing and evolving work back and forth between Director Gudgeon and the folks of Stryker. Last conversation with Darren on this was several hours ago, in which there was some additional concerns that he was waiting to hear back from Stryker. So I will defer to Director Gudgeon to further explain and affirm that this is a recommendation that we would like to give to you today.
Thank you, Administrator Langrick. And I did just receive another email about 20 minutes ago from Julie Schmidt, the representative from Stryker, because I had told her the time was of the essence and I wanted to have something to this committee by 1 p.m. And the issue that she is seeking out was actually 2 questions that Attorney Southwick came up after his review of the contract. And one of the items that he found in the contract that he felt was not favorable for the county was that the county would be held liable to Michigan state law in regards to this financial contract. And secondly, there was some language in the contract, and I'm going to see if I can bring up my email here so I can read it. The county is required to waive all rights to indirect, punitive, special, or consequential damages in connection with the equipment agreement. Ben says, in other words, if the equipment is defective, if people are injured or die as a result, the company is not liable. Those were 2 things that Attorney Southwick found in his review of the contract. Otherwise, aside from those 2 things, I have not heard anything from him, nor my committee chair, Brian McGraw, who is also an attorney, that it would be illegal for us to enter into this. However, from my standpoint, it is pretty concerning to me to find language in, that Ben found language in this contract that says if that unit fails, they're not on the hook. We would be on the hook. And these cardiac monitors are also our automated external defibrillators. So if we were working a code call or a CPR call and that unit failed, if what Ben is interpreting this language to be is true, then we would be liable and the company that made the unit wouldn't be. So it seems very bizarre that language would even be in there, but Ben found it in there. So I forwarded both of those concerns to Julie this morning. Julie forwarded them on to the home office in Michigan. So I'm waiting to hear back. But at this time, if that is true, if that is the reality, then I can't in good conscience go forward with making this recommendation to this body or the county board for us to sign that contract, knowing that we could be liable for something like that. So,
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead, Supervisor Seat.
In lieu of remarks by Mr. Gudgeon, I move that we postpone action on this until either later in this meeting or at such a time as we receive sufficient information to make an informed decision.
Okay, that's a motion to postpone by Supervisor Seat. One question I have for you, Mr. Gudgeon. So is that what you would also recommend that we do, is that we make a motion to postpone? I guess I had an understanding that this had to be taken care of by the end of the year. And this might be our last opportunity to do it as a finance committee and a county board. So that's one question I've got.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that this language is in there. Attorney Southwick just emailed me again, and I'll just read that quickly. He said the provision that Stryker Medical shall have no liability for any damages to anyone in the event that one or all of these cardiac monitors fail to perform properly is definitely not the county's best interest, nor the best interest of any possible recipient of the use of these devices. However, as a simple matter of relative economic strength between the parties, it's highly unlikely the firm will agree to delete this provision. This same thing was noted by my committee chair, Brian McGraw, in his notes to me that the contract looked okay to him, except for he didn't feel that, we should be liable for their equipment failure. So if this contract takes away the umbrella of protection for the county and those that we serve, just so that we don't have any interest on a loan, then I would certainly follow the advice of both corp counsel and my committee chair, who are both attorneys, and we'll look at just buying one unit outright, and then there should be protection under that direct purchase. We won't be bound by a financial contract, and we won't be seeing such a tremendous liability. I just don't think that the ability to finance these for 0% interest outweighs the liability that we could take. I mean, we just don't know. So if it comes to the floor tonight and we don't have an answer that Attorney Southwick or everybody is comfortable with, then we budgeted for them, and we'll continue to look for grant money, and we'll just purchase one at a time outright and not take that liability on.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Yep, go ahead, Supervisor Seat.
We're entering into a discussion prior to a second on the motion.
Well, there was no second to your motion.
That's right, and so we are entering into a discussion prior to the motion being on the floor. Point of order.
Okay.
Sent the motion.
Second.
This is Mark, I'll second.
Okay, so a second by Supervisor Cooey. I guess my owning it is, if for some reason you get an answer, this afternoon, and you want to go ahead and move forward, Mr. Gudgeon, through the county board tonight, you won't have had the finance committee's recommendation. So I guess I'm just wondering. Okay, yeah, Supervisor Seat.
Order.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman.
Yep, go ahead.
The motion itself provided for action later today, either at this meeting or at the meeting or at a later time. It does not set a definite time for action. If we should receive information from Julie Schmidt before this meeting is concluded, we could act, or we could act later on if information is developed at the board meeting. So I'm merely saying that since we don't have that information now, we should postpone it until such a time as we do have that information. That time may be this meeting or later tonight.
But how could we, I guess my question is, I understand about how we could take action later in the meeting just by reordering the agenda items or coming back, but how could we take action on it at this evening's board meeting if we haven't advertised a meeting of the Finance and Personnel Committee?
Oh, if it's not on the agenda of the county board meeting, then that's another question. Is it on the agenda of the county board meeting?
Yes, it is.
Well, then fine. We can motion it forward contingent upon the receipt of sufficient information. If we don't have it at that time, we can request that it be withdrawn from the agenda. At least we'll have it on the agenda.
Okay. So the intent of your motion is to just basically approve this contingent upon that information. It's not necessarily to postpone the item.
Well, we're not going to act on it now, so we are postponing it until either later in this meeting or until at such time as we receive sufficient information. That may be tonight at the board meeting. And so our actions, our motion is contingent upon the receipt. We are recommending approval contingent upon receipt of sufficient information regarding liability. You could check with the corporation counsel on the motion if you'd like. I think it's sufficient.
Okay. Any other committee members? Any questions about this motion to postpone that's in front of us?
Mr. Chairman,
Yep, Supervisor Brewer.
I proceed to withdraw his postponement motion and then his last statement, make that a motion. Approval contingent upon, and I will second that motion.
Well, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead.
The motion is on the floor. You have to have a motion from someone on the floor to withdraw my motion.
Okay, so Supervisor
the motion belongs to the body.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. So we got a motion to withdraw.
Linda, I'll second it.
Okay, a motion to withdraw from Supervisor Brewer. A second on that motion to withdraw by Supervisor Gentis. Any discussion? Okay. Withdrawing Mr. Seep's motion, signify by saying aye.
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 Is anyone opposed? Okay, that motion carries. So Mr. Seep's motion is withdrawn. Mr. Seep, would you like to make another motion at this point?
As I understand Mr. Brewer's syntax, he's asking for suggesting a motion to forward this ordinance for approval contingent upon receipt of information regarding liability. Is that correct, Mr. Brewer?
It does sound right.
I want to be sure that I have.
Sounds right. It sounds. Excuse me. It sounds right to me. So we got a motion by Supervisor Seep. Is there a second on that motion?
I will second.
Okay, second by Supervisor Brewer. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, good job, Supervisor. You got it through.
Thank you, Mr. Brewer, for your parliamentary expertise.
Okay, so that motion carries, so we can move on to agenda item number 7, compensatory time adjustment to Richland County Deputy Sheriff's Association collective bargaining agreement. So, Mr. Langreich, the floor is yours.
Mr. Chair, looking today for a motion to enter into memorandum of understanding, MOU, with Richland County Deputy Sheriff's Association adjusting section 14.03 of the collective bargaining agreement to allow a total of 51 hours of compensatory time. Background on this item, Richland County Deputy Sheriff's Association is requesting an MOU which would amend the Richland County Deputy Sheriff's Association collective bargaining agreement. The amendment would be in regards to that section as stated. The current wording has a compensatory time threshold of 25.5 hours or half work week of compensatory time. The union's request is to increase it to 51 hours, 1 full work week. This change would allow union to stay consistent with the rest of the Sheriff's Department staff and other agencies in the handbook changes that were made a few months back. The adjustment language here would look like this is what the memorandum would look like. It is the changing of the time of the hours. And I do have Chief Deputy Porter on, I think, to further elaborate as needed, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Chief Deputy Porter, do you have anything you want to add to this, or should we just go to committee members?
No, I think that was pretty well explained. I do believe that Deputy Aaron Wallace is possibly listening in as well. He would be representing the association, but I don't think really I needed to add anything to that.
Oh, okay. So let's see if we got any questions or comments from committee members. Okay, I'm not hearing anyone, so I'd entertain a motion to approve the agreement.
I so move.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Seep and a second by Supervisor Brewer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. Agenda, so thank you, Chief Porter, for joining us, and Mr. Wallace as well. Agenda item number 8, bid on construction and electrical work of large courtroom improvement projects. Mr. Langright.
Mr. Chair, this is the kind of the main point of having the meeting today on such short notice. We did have our bids that went out for 3 different parts of the improvement project that is impacting the courtrooms and the court offices. The 3 pieces that we're looking at today includes the carpentry electrical work, which was put out for RFP for bid. The second part includes a data wiring function of it, which was put out in a comparable type of a bid process. The third part of it is a purchase of additional equipment of IP or internet protocol phone systems, which was put out non-competitively to Marco as an extension of our current system, as they are the service contract holder for that system. But then another little piece of that one is a bid that was put out for a switch. So keep those 3 pieces in mind as we kind of start this. The third bit of this is for the carpentry electrical awarding a bid. Looking today for a motion to first authorize utilization of short-term capital borrowing funds. Second, recommend the county board award the bid of carpentry and electrical support in the large courtroom improvements projects to Mike Marshall Carpentry and Decoration in the amount of $19,600 with change order authorization granted to the administrator not to exceed $3,000. Background on this is the county is currently undertaking the upgrade opportunities to both courtrooms and offices. Upgrades to the large courtroom include installation of the digital audio recording system, DAR, the video conferencing system. These projects will include flooring, minor carpentry, cabinetry, wire conduit installation, electrical work, data cabling, and replacing carpet. Awarding the proposed bid allows the county to move forward with the preliminary carpentry and electrical needed to run data wiring and place the recording and conferencing systems. Our current priority is focused on completing this project by March 2021, with compliance being given to the county board rules. This project was posted in compliance with rule number 14, and the bids were reviewed on December 4th. It falls underneath the $20,000 mark. Therefore, we're able to entertain a bid that does not have to be the lowest bid. And again, looking today for to make recommendation for the bid amount of $19,600 with a $3,000 contingent. This will be coming out of the short-term capital borrowing fund approved several months back. And I'll try to open up the bids here. The first one from Mike Marshall in the amount of $19,600 is the one that we're recommending. Second bid from Bachman Construction, another very respectable bid, came in at $17,570, which is less than the one that is recommended today. But we did have concerns with the one from Marshall. Seemed to be much more direct in addressing all the pieces that we were looking at, and very well researched, as Mr. Marshall made several trips back to further investigate what is going to be kind of a exploratory surgery kind of process on opening up walls, opening up floors, and solving the problem. So again, this one is less, but we're concerned with the potential, just like the other ones, that there might be change orders to a greater extent with having it less researched. The third one that came in from Sago Services was significantly higher at $72,982. I would imagine the entire project would certainly fit underneath that amount, but again, that is ×3 from where we're at with the other types of bids. That being said, I would defer to Director Scott. If Director Scott, if you're on, if you can kind of talk about the RFP type of a process in the meeting that you had with the contractors, and again, any other points on the recommendation moving forward today.
So we posted this in the Observer for 2 weeks, and then we put it onto VendorNet as well, so that we could be certain that we were fair in our advertising. That it went out. We did receive. We had a walkthrough. The 3 vendors that bid were there, and they were all invited to come back as needed to bid the project. Mike Marshall, and I'm very sorry to do this, it's carpentry and decorating, not decoration, for the company name, was the only one that did actually come back through and take a deeper look at this. And our concern was this project is very unique because our courthouse is so old. It's not a straightforward project. I mean, when you have a 125-year-old building, it's not a simple run a cable here and there. There's a lot of complexities. So I was concerned with some of the bids that they didn't appreciate those, and that we would see change orders because of some of those complexities, because I don't know that they truly could appreciate them. We've had Mr. Marshall in several times do other projects. He's always done a great job. He is aware of the problems that are there with the electrical, with the knob and tube that he found in the small courtroom when he redid that. I think that this is a good suggestion. Are there any questions for me?
Chair,
Yep, Supervisor C.
was there I didn't notice a completion date on this project in the contract, in the proposed contract.
I think that it's in the resolution that Clinton had on your iPads. It's by March 1st.
March 1st, that's in the contract?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
Any other committee members with questions or comments? And I'd also entertain a motion to go ahead and utilize short-term borrowing and award the bid to Mike Marshall Carpentry and Decorating.
That's Mark. I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Cooley.
Gentis, I second it.
Second by Supervisor Gentis. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thanks, Ms. Scott. Thanks for the explanation as well. Agenda item number 9, bid on data wiring for courts. Mr. Langrick.
Mr. Chair, this one again is the second part now of the improvements to the courtroom and to the courts system. This one, we're looking for a motion to recommend to the county board to award a bid for data wiring support in a large courtroom improvement project to String Telecom in the amount of $18,629, with change order authorization granted to the administrator not to exceed $2,000. This is in regards to the same type of improvements to the courtroom and in the court offices. The court offices, we're again are looking to do an internet protocol telephone update to match systems comparable throughout the rest of the county. The funding source for this program or for this initiative is going to be through a Department of Justice grant procured through the Clerk of Circuit Court. So again, we're looking to award this bid amount to Strang. I believe that they are the only one that put in a bid for this, and we have had a long history and good relationship with Strang on this process or on these types of projects. I would defer to Director Scott for additional comments.
Thank you. This wiring will need to be done, and this again is to accommodate the new phone system, expansion of our existing phone system that exists in the Sheriff's Department and also in HHS. So we are doing interoperability between all departments, which is a directive we were given, I believe, in 2018 by the county board. This will make their phone system available for them to work from home, and it will also help with more continuity. I think that in the end we'll see reduced costs for phones as we start to merge departments and phone lines. We are able to better share with this.
Any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve, Mr.
Okay.
Brewer.
Motion by Supervisor Brewer. I'll go ahead and make the second. So second by Supervisor Murphy Lopez. Any questions or comments for Ms. Scott? Okay, if not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, that motion carried. Agenda item number 10, purchases for courts telephone system improvement project. And this is under A, extension on current phone system, Marco, and B, bid on switches. So Mr. Langrick, back to you.
Mr. Chair, looking for one motion or perhaps with two parts or two different motions today. First, to purchase phone system expansion from Marco in the amount of $21,084.46. Second piece or second motion, to accept a bid for switches from JComp in the amount of $10,416. Again, we are working on upgrades with the system. Monies for paying for these projects are going to be put towards the Department of Justice grant that has been procured. The Marco, again, is an expansion on an existing system. Therefore, it did not need to be solicited out competitively. We did solicit out with for bids or for quotes in compliance with Rule 14 for the switches, in which JComp came back with. Our current priority, again, is to try to get these pieces lined up for completion on March 1st. And with the fundings coming from, again, the Department of Justice. Marco bid is in your folder with all the technical pieces on there, which are, I would defer to Director Scott for any types of questions, as well as the bid for two of the switches from JComp. So Director Scott, is there any more pieces that need to be explained better than my ramblings in trying to talk on the smart aspect of it?
No, like you said, the telephones, we worked with the people in the courts department to get their needs, to consider them and what they would like. So those are really just the licensing to run those phones, and then the phones themselves. The switches power the phones and then direct the phone traffic. So it's pretty straightforward. The smart nets will have to be paid eventually. The first year is taken care of, but that will be an additional cost going forward.
Okay, and one quick clarification for me. So on the cover sheet here, it says under financial review that it's in the adopted budget and that it's coming from another funding source, the DOJ grant procurement. we're not using our borrowing for these two items. Is that correct? We're
No,
just using the grant.
that's correct for both of those.
Oh, okay. Thanks for clarifying that. Any other questions or comments from committee members?
Yes, Chairman.
Yep, go ahead, Supervisor C.
What is the total amount of the grant for the Department of Justice?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, it's $58,000, and our portion of this would be just over 51,000. And the rest of it, they have proposed to use for things that will make the courts more able to perform safely with COVID.
So we're using 51,000 of the 58,000, and the other balance is available for other purposes. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Well, Mr. Chairman, we should be most grateful to Barb for all of her research on this, and certainly to the clerk of court for obtaining this grant. Work and research involved in that. We commend you both.
Okay, so we got two motions that are recommended by staff. So I'd entertain a motion on the first one, which is to purchase a phone system expansion from Marco in the amount of 21,000 and change.
I move for approval.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Seep,
Smart, I'll second.
and by Supervisor Kui. Any further discussion? All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. And then I'd entertain a motion to accept the bid for the switches from J-Comp in the amount of $10,000 and change.
I'll make the motion. Smart.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Kui,
I will second.
second by Supervisor Brewer. Any further discussion on this one? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. I think you guys can get to work on your courtroom project, or get to further work on it. I know that.
I
you've
think we
already
have to
been
go
working-
to board tonight yet.
Yes, there you go. That's right. Good point. Okay. Agenda item number 11, which is adjournments. Mr. Langrek, what date would you like to adjourn to with our committee?
I think if we can get back onto our first Tuesday of the month at 1 p.m., sir, that would put us at January 5th at 1 p.m., provided we don't have any other emergency or urgent types of issues that come up.
Okay, so I'd entertain a motion to adjourn to Tuesday, January 5th at 1 p.m. Via WebEx.
Gentis, I'll make that motion.
Okay. Motion by Supervisor Gentis,
I'll second. Smart.
second by Supervisor Kui. Any questions or discussion on when we'd be adjourning to? Okay, all those in favor by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. We're adjourned. Thanks to all the staff and committee members and everyone else for joining us today.
See you tonight.
We'll see you guys tonight.
Mr. Chairman, I'd
Thank
make
you, everyone.
all of you.
Thank you. Appreciate the short term and everybody's efforts to make this happen.
Yep, happy to do it. Take care, everyone.